Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you consume web API into MVC to create the Ajax jQuery live search functionality. And here we got the final output. Let's search the employee record. If I type C, see here we got the employee record. C is Charan, C-H-A-R-A-N. If I type V, Vamshi. If I type Peter, P. Suppose if I type some random text, notice the table rows are hide if the records are not full. And here we got the final output. Notice when I mouse over on the text box control, see there is a small icon with the drop down list. If I select that one, we got the employee names are binded. For example, if I select Vamshi, see here we got the Vamshi records. If I type J, so we got the Jack details. C, see here we got the employee name which contains C. Our records are displayed here. I want to display Chris. We got the Chris here. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part in Web API to create the live search Ajax jQuery functionality, first we'll check the table in SQL Server. The table name is the EMP table which contains 5 columns: EMP ID, EMP name, designation, department and joining date. Now I want to implement the live search functionality on the EMP name column to display records using Web API. After that we'll consume that in MVC project. So let's open Visual Studio to create Web API application. For this video tutorial I'm creating a new Web API application. Go to File, New, Project. And from the web templates, I'm selecting ASP.NET Web Application. In the .NET Framework, I'm using 4.6.1. The application name is Web API Ajax Live Search MVC jQuery is the project name. Click OK. And from the templates I'm selecting Web API, click OK. And the project is created successfully. Let's close this default window, open Solution Explorer. Now in this project I'm adding first ADO.NET Entity Data Model. Right click the project name, add. I'm selecting ADO.NET Entity Data Model. The model name is Live Search. Click OK. And from the model contents I'm selecting the first option, EF Designer from database. Click Next. I'm creating a new SQL Server connection. I'm adding SQL Server name. After adding SQL Server name, now I'm selecting the database name. SampleDB is my user database. Test connection is succeeded. OK. OK. And here we got our connection string, and the connection string name is a SampleDB entities, and I'm saving this connection string in the web.config file. Click Next. And here we got the selected database objects. I'm expanding the tables folders as well as DBO. The table name is the EMP table. I'm selecting that one. Click Finish. And here we got the EMP table entity model is added to our project. After that, open Solution Explorer, minimize the references folder. The next step, we'll add the Web API controller in this controllers folder. Right click the controllers folder, add, select the controller. I'm selecting Web API 2 controller empty, add. The controller name is Ajax Live Search. Is a web API controller name. Add. And here we got our controller API, which is the Ajax Live Search. The controller name is. Now in this controller, I am writing the code to fetch the data from the EMP table. So first here, I am creating a method by public HTTP action result get EMP records is a function name. Now in this function name, I am adding here one important point is you need to prefix with the function name get because we are getting the records. If you don't mention get here, you can add the HTTP method here also. HTTP get method. So now I don't require here HTTP get because I have already the get prefix here. Now in this get EMP records method, I am adding the sample DB entities, which is our connection string entity name, creating an object of the entity connection string, the new sample DB entities. After that, I am declaring a variable to display the records. A variable result is equals to sd dot. The table object name is the EMP tables dot toList method, and the return OK method. And this OK method, I am adding the variable result. That's it. We have fetched the records from the EMP table in this API controller. Now before adding the jQuery Ajax Live Search functionality in MVC, first we require this web API URL. So for that, let's browse this web API, Google Chrome. And here we got the default output of the project, which is the home page. Now we require the web API URL / after the host name API / let's add the web API controller name is Ajax Live Search. I'm adding the API controller name in the URL. And here we got the results of this web API URL in XML file format, the EMP table, the data. Now let's consume this web API URL into MVC to add the live search functionality using jQuery. Let's switch back to the coding part, stop debugging, open Solution Explorer, right click the controllers folder, add controller. I'm selecting MVC file controller empty, add. The controller name is search records is my MVC controller name, add. And here we got our controller, which is the search records, the controller name is. Now first, in this controller, I'm implementing HTTP client class to consume the web API. So we require the namespace using system.net.http namespace. After that, in the public action result index, I'm adding IEnumerable. The IEnumerable, the type of the objects we are getting from the table, which is the EMP table. Our table name EMP table. Let's create the object here. Object is equals to null. Now let's consume the web API HTTP client class. HC is equals to new HTTP client. HC.base address is equals to new URI method. This URI method takes a string parameter, and in the string takes the URI string. The URI is a path, which is I'm adding the web URI. After that, after we got the base address, now let's consume API is equals to hc dot get async method. This get async method takes a string as a parameter, so double quotes. The request URI is the web API, the controller name. So I'm adding here. Instead of the path, I'm adding the controller name here in the get async method. Semicolon. Consume API dot wait method. After we consume the data, we'll read the data. Variable read data is equals to consume API dot result property. If read data dot is success status code. If the data is read successfully, I want to display the records. For that, I am declaring another variable data display is equals to read data dot content property dot read as async. I list the type of elements I am adding. The emp table is a method. Data display dot wait method, and I want to display this data in the object is equals to data display dot result. In the final step, we need to add the object of the enumerable in the return view. That's it. We have consumed this web API into this MVC controller. Now we require the index view page. So before adding the index view page to the project, first we must build the application. So build solution. And here we got a message, the build succeeded. Let's close this output message box. Now let's create the index view page. The public action result index, select that one, the index method, right click the mouse, add view. The view name is index only, the template empty without model. I'm selecting the list template. The model class, here I'm adding in the model class the emp table, and the data context class, I'm adding my sample DB entities, which is our connection string. Click add. And here we got our index view page with the list template. Now what I'm doing, I don't require this action link create. Come to the bottom, in the table we have the action links, edit, details and delete, which I don't require these also. Then let's change the header, creating Ajax jQuery live search functionality using web API H3 from SQL Server database. After that, I'm adding the horizontal line. Now after the horizontal line, I'm adding a simple HTML element text box control. First we'll add the label in the span tag, span. In the span, I'm adding enter employee name, and after the span, I'm adding input type is equals to search, and ID of the text box control is search text is a text box ID. Let's close this one. We'll add the placeholder also, search. Let's put this in the center tag. We'll close the center tag after this text box control. Now before adding the Ajax jQuery live search functionality to this project, we'll check the basic output, how it looks, the designing part on the browser. So before running this application, the most important, we have to change the controller name. To change the controller name, open Solution Explorer. In the project, there is a app_start folder, expand that one, route config.cs file, open that one. And notice here the controller is a home, which is a default one. I'm deleting that one. Our controller name is search records. So I'm adding MVC controller name in the route config. And the action result is the index only, which is this page. this index view page. Now it's time to check the output, Google Chrome, and here we got the output of that code, which contains the header tags. After that, the enter employee name, which is the span tag, and the text box control. Below that we have the table which consumes this API. Now my aim is I want to implement the Ajax live search functionality using jQuery on this text box control. For example, I want to get the Peter. So let's add the Ajax jQuery live search functionality to this project. Switch back to the coding part, stop debugging. Now in this index view page, when we want to implement the jQuery functionality, first thing we require the latest jQuery reference links. So after the table, below the table I am adding the jQuery reference link. To get the jQuery reference links, open Solution Explorer. In the project there is a scripts folder, expand that one. And notice in the scripts folder there is a bunch of jQuery links here. I'm just selecting the jQuery 1.10.2 min.js. Just throw this link on our index view page. After that, we'll add the script to add the Ajax live search functionality. The script dollar between double quotes. Here the between double quotes I am adding the HTML element. The element I want to add the text box element ID search text hash search text dot on, and this on method I am adding the first one takes the event, which is a key up event. Then the second parameter is a function, semicolon. Now in this function I'm declaring a variable search emp is equals to $this dot val method. After that, the search records I want to display in the table. So dollar between double quotes table tr, the table row I'm selecting from the table dot each function result is an object. Let's add the semicolon. If the result is not double equals to 0. Here the if condition, if the result is not double equals to 0 means we found the records. Variable ID is equals to dollar this dot. I'm implementing find method. I'm adding find method. In this jQuery find method, I'm adding the column name to search. Between double quotes td table data colon nth hyphen child. Now in this nth child method, I'm adding the index value 1. The 1 I'm adding because I want to search with the employee name. The employee name column is a 1. Suppose if you want to search with the department, you need to add in the nth column the 3. So here I'm adding 1, which is the employee name, emp name dot text method. If id dot index of method, the index of method takes a string as a parameter. The search string we are getting from this variable search emp is not double equals to 0, and id dot to lowercase is a method dot index of method. Now again the index of method, the search string you are getting from this search emp, add that one dot to lowercase method less than 0. Now here in the if condition is less than 0 means if the records are not found, I want to hide the table rows. $this dot hide method, else if the records are found, $this dot show. That's it. We have added the Ajax live search functionality on this Textbox control. Now it's time to check the results on the browser, Google Chrome. And here we got the final output. Let's search the employee record. If I type C, see here we got the employee record. C is Sharon, C-H-A-R-A-N. If I type V, Vamshi. If I type Peter, P. Suppose if I type some random text, notice the table rows are hide if the records are not found. Now let's add this text box control. Now let's add the same functionality with the drop down list control. Switch back to the coding part. Stop debugging. Now in the center tag, I am adding the data list element to create the drop down list, the autocomplete drop down list control. Data list, the option, the first option value is empty, selected, hidden. Let's add the label for the select employee. Now the second option, now in the drop down list control, I want to bind the employee names. So for that I'm adding for each loop at for each. Instead of writing the code, I'm adding this part here. Variable, it's not the variable, option at item dot, I'm binding the column name emp name. So after that, the most important property in the data list, we need to add the ID is equals to DDL, the data list ID name, and I'm adding this DDL ID in this text box control with the list property DDL. That's it. Now this text box control become the autocomplete drop down list control to search the records. Now let's check the output Google Chrome. And here we got the final output. Notice when I mouse over on the text box control, see there is a small icon with the drop down list. If I select that one, we got the employee names are binded. For example, if I select Vamshi, see here we got the Vamshi records. If I type J, so we got the Jack details. C, see here we got the employee name which contains C. Our records are displayed here. I want to display Chris. We got the Chris here. That's it.